One of my all-time favorite cartoonists is Basil Wolverton. So today, let's take a look at all the books I own with his great artwork in it. Stay tuned and watch this video until the end. And we're back. I am Taylor. This is Taylor Talks Comics. This is my favorite place to go and talk about comics. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm on the road to 3,000 subscribers and I need your help. If you're new to the channel, thank you for being here. Give the video a thumbs up and comment down below with any of your thoughts throughout the video. Those things help the YouTube algorithm put my video in front of the people's eyeballs that don't know my channel exists. And I appreciate it so much. All right, so today we're talking about Basil Wolverton, one of my favorite cartoonists ever. He has such a wide range of output and style. And Fantagraphics has done a great job collecting his works because all of these books here are put out by Fantagraphics. So first I want to start off with the two monographs, biographies, whatever you want to call these. These are two incredible collections and like my favorite kind of collections for classic cartoonists. So this is Creeping Death from Neptune and Brain Bats of Venus. Already you can see the kind of the wacky names for these titles. But this is volume 1. And it collects the work from 1909 to 1941. Volume 2 collects 1942 to 1952. Now, there's a lot of work after that that he could do, but this is mostly trying to collect the unpublished work and do a little bit of biography and things. So these are really well put together. Greg Sadowski did an amazing job. He actually put together a couple other books that are in my stack here that I'll show off. But these are awesome. If you want me to do a separate video on any of these books, let me know, and I will, by all means, we'll do that. So great in papers on this. But just flipping through here, I love how it starts off too with these rejection letters. These are all the rejection letters from Basil Wolverton, which is such a humbling thing to read. Such a cartoonist of this magnitude being rejected by things. Especially a lot of this unpublished work you'll see was submitted to be published and was just rejected or turned down for whatever reason. There's a 18-year-old Basil Wolverton. Here's some of his early work as a child, which is always great to see, that kind of evolution of the artist in seeing how they progress throughout the years. And I love that all this stuff is still exists. Like I think Monty Wolverton is the gentleman that helped put this together, and I think he's a grandson of Basil. I forget. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think that's what he is. And he helps kind of preserve the legacy of Basil Wolverton, which is great. So this is an early strip from him from 1926. Was this strip from Basil Wolverton, and already you can see the style of his cartooning coming to fruition here with the pointillism with the rapidograph pen, and then like the big long nose there. Like the cartooning is already there from early on. His style is kind of formed, and then just gets developed and polished from there on. And then like this, like the caricature was such a big part of Basil Wolverton, which we'll get to. And this is just an early rendition of that. But like this, like stuff is just like stunning. Like this artwork here, and this was rejected for a science fiction story. Who is rejecting this artwork? Like I don't know. Like it blows my mind that this was rejected. I can't. That's so much of this stuff was like. This is such an amazing piece too. It's a radio talk show host, I guess. Mel Blanc? I guess it's Mel Blanc. And he's not walking on eggshells because he's going to stand on top of his microphone shouting through it while the eggshells are cracking down below him. Like such a great story told in that one image. And look at these great dinosaurs. And here's a rejected Mickey Mouse strip, which is included in here, which is great. And here's some more of those caricatures, which I think Basil Wolverton might be the greatest caricature artist ever. I think the only person that I would challenge for him would be Drew Friedman. Here's some more Mickey Mouse strips with the script included. And like all this ephemera that is included in here is amazing. And now here's art pages. So the way these are designed, like they'll have a bunch of comics throughout here. And they'll have like this page introducing each one of them with a little bit of annotation by Greg Sadowski talking about the strips. And Woozy Wolfer is a hilarious strip, one of his earliest strips about this dog. And you can even see right here, some fourth wall breaking things. This is the artist, which is Basil, in the strip, kind of pushing him out of the strip and kind of yelling at him and then erasing him and threatening him with that. And then on the next strip over, he's like, okay, be nice to him. He erased me last strip. Like, just the fact that he's like breaking the fourth wall back in the, what I think this was in the 30s, is amazing. And then we get to these science fiction. So you're seeing kind of his goofy cartooning, but then you see his science fiction strips, which just show his range as an artist. And I do like that they, they oriented the book this way so that the book can stay the same trim size throughout. You just have to turn the book to read these. And it says in here too, Alex Raymond was a big influence on him, especially with the figures and the faces of these characters. And he would even sometimes just totally swipe an Alex Raymond strip. But his character designs and things were always really remarkable to me. I love the way he like drew aliens and thought about like mashing up genres and things with dinosaurs and science fiction. Like, look at this. This looks like something from like a Jack Kirby comic, like a Ego the Living Planet or something. And then we're back to cartoony stuff. Like, again, just the incredible range that he would have. The lighting on this one is kind of a rare. You don't see a lot of use of lighting like that on Basil Wolverton's work. Then we're getting back to more photographs and ephemera. And then we're getting to the Disguise of Detective. We're seeing the black and white and color versions. Yeah. Some more letters to other companies. Some more rejected artwork. We're even getting like roughs on some of these things, which is amazing. Which I'll show you a collection later that has even more of that kind of stuff in here. And then I'm just seeing the science fiction style like really evolve. And those early ones were done for newspaper strips. Like, it's always his goal to get in newspaper strips. This one I'm assuming is for a comic book because of the bigger panels and the way it's laid out. Trying to find the here's Spacehawks, which we'll get into a little bit later. Here's a really famous cover, Target Comics. Which you might have seen this cover around before. It's been like reprinted a few times with facsimile editions. Trying to find the Mickey Mouse strip because it's in here. Oh, here's the Alex Raymond swipe. So they showed you when Spacehawk takes his mask off for the first time. He looks like this, and you can see that's a swipe from an Alex Raymond strip. Which, if you're gonna swipe from somebody for science fiction, especially in this era, you could do a lot worse than Alex Raymond's Flash Gordon. Is the Mickey Mouse strip not in this one? It might be in the next one. Underground Secret Agent. I love this too. This was a comic book that did not last very long, but just such a weird like golden age stuff. Like, when people like denigrate golden age comics for being boring or things, like I always show them like Basil Wolverton or what is it? What's his name? I'm drawing a blank here. Fletcher Hanks. Fletcher Hanks is another great golden age artist that just does weird comics, or did weird comics. Yeah, I'm guessing the Mickey Mouse strip must be in this one, then. I thought it was in this, though. Let me see if I can do a quick flipperoonie here and find out. But if you're a big fan of Basil Wolverton, let me know in the comments. Or if any of these books influence you to seek some of these out. I think some of these are out of print. Oh, here it is. Some of these are out of print, but you might be able to find them on eBay for not too expensive. So this is the Mickey Mouse strip that he did and submitted to Disney and was rejected. Like, look at this incredible cartooning for a Mickey Mouse strip. Like, the Mickey Mouse character is done totally on model, but then we're getting some of these little weird Basil Wolverton aspects to it. So, really, really cool. I guess Disney at the time had Floyd Gottfredson doing their Disney comics, so it's kind of a hard thing to unseat him as far as the Mickey Mouse cartoonist. Here's the in papers on this one. So this is volume 2 of the Life in Comics. More rejection letters starting it off. Even one written by Stan Lee on this one. Who Stan Lee was a big fan of Basil. I think he even has a blurb on the back of one of these. I think it's the first one. We have a Stan Lee blurb about Wolverton's work. And he was a fan of his work, but in this rejection letter, he says that the publisher, Martin Goodman, is trying to go away from doing goofy strips, like funny humor strips, and that was Basil Wolverton, what he was doing for Marvel at the time. Here's an example of Basil at his drawing table with one of the caricatures, so you can see how big he drew them, which is really cool. Yeah, Glenn Bray, shout out to him. He's a famous collector of comic book art and things, and he provided a lot for these books as far as artwork and original art and roughs and any artifacts he found. But it's a really cool book. I love the way this is laid out, though. Like I said, any classic artist or cartoonist, if you put a book together like this, I love it. Like, it's like a part biography, part all this comic book artwork. So you're reading some comics at times, you're reading some biography at times. Like the I showed off on my channel the Alex Toth collections that they did for IDW is laid out a lot like that. Here's an example of the roughs that he would do and then the finished product, which is cool to see side by side. Some more caricatures. It's incredible the fact that he was so good as a caricature artist. There's I think it's Basil doing one of the funny faces, so you can see why he's such a good caricature artist. The fact that he would do humor strips, caricatures, and sci-fi strips and do them so well, it's really just incredible. He was really just magnificent. Like, look at these faces. Like, these are incredible pieces of artwork. And these are airbrushed ones on that one. And Supersonic Sammy was like a humor sci-fi strip, so now he's mashing up two of his favorite genres to work in. Planet Terror, Monsters Dwell, so now he's doing a little bit of horror in the Golden Age. Swamp Monster. So those are really two cool books. If you're wanting like a good sample of Basil Wolverton, I'd say seek these out. I do think they might be out of print, but you might be able to find them on eBay or what have you. I can't recommend these two enough. And then, let's get into some of the collections of the specific strips and things. So here's Culture Corner. This is a newspaper strip that he did that Fantagraphics collected in this nice hardcover. It's like landscape format. Great, and this was designed by Jacob Covey, this book was, which one of my favorite book designers ever. And at first you're collecting it like this with a introduction, going, what do you call that? Vertical. The strips vertical. But then by the time you get to the strips themselves, with a little introduction from Gary Groth, he explains that they actually have like the pencil roughs in here too. But not every single strip. So like this one, you see the big blank page there. That's to keep it in order, because I'll show you here in a second. These first few strips of the Culture Corner, they don't have the roughs on them. But there we go. But now we have like the roughs. So now he has, on the left facing page, we have the roughs for this finished product of the strip. So you can compare the two, which is amazing. But Culture Corner was really a funny strip. It's like a gag strip because it's like how to sit on a tack, how to boot a fly off your snoot, how to contemplate the back of your pate, how to mat your hair down flat. So it's just like funny gag strips and like they're goofy, like over the top, absurd ways to do these things. How to get your beard sheared, how to get a stamp damp. So it's like there's these funny, amusing aspects to these. And that's the whole book here. We get a bunch of roughs in the back too. I guess these are unpublished ones, perhaps. I wonder if there's a additional roughs. So these are just additional roughs in the back. A really cool collection. A great way to collect strips from a cartoonist. This is an older collection. This is Powerhouse Pepper by Fantagraphics, which I actually had another collection of Powerhouse Pepper that had a different cover on it, but the exact same pages in it. And it might have been put out by a different company even. So I sold that one and kept this one. But Powerhouse Pepper was like a... we have an introduction here by Dick Vole. Powerhouse Pepper is like a funny, amusing strip of this kind of brute guy with this damsel that was always getting into fights and things. And these are all collected in black and white. In this collection, I think you can find for cheap too on eBay or whatever. A lot of these Powerhouse Pepper strips were collected in those monographs I just showed off. But then in the back, it does have some other strips in here that are not the Supersonic Sammy strips that we just saw. Some of those are in here. And I think that might be it for this one. Does it have some of Moot? No, I think this is... Oh, Hothead Hotel. And then Scoop Scuttle and Pals is, I think, the most recent book that Fantagraphics has put out for Basil Wolverton. This just came out a few years ago. And it's collecting all the Scoop Scuttle strips in the Crackpot comics of Basil Wolverton, so some of his other comedic strips, and again, edited by Greg Sadowski on this one. And Scoop Scuttle, probably one of my favorite humor strips by him. They are, like, he's a journalist, and it takes place in the office of a newspaper, and he's always trying to, get he's the Daily Dally's dippiest dirt digger. So they're one-page strips, like a Sunday strip, and he's always trying to get, the next, big story within the city or whatever. And I love all the title lettering, how it changes. It's not the same every single time. Which, I don't know if that's done in yeah, I think that must have been how it was originally printed. Obviously, you can see some World War II era humor included in here. Again, the title lettering. Every bit of the cartooning on these pages is just amazing. He's just such a magnificent cartoonist. Look at that title lettering right there. So after Scoop Scuttle, we get... Let's see if I get to the back of Scoop Scuttle. Is that the last one? Okay. Then we get to Mystic Moot and his Magic Snoot. This is included in those, not every strip of those, but a sample of them is included in the monographs. In these annotations here, which I haven't compared, I don't know if these are just taken from those monographs, put into here, because they're both written by Greg Sadowski, so I don't see why they wouldn't be repurposed for this one. But this is another comedic strip about Mystic Moot and his Magic Snoot. So we're getting to all the hijinks and cartooning of him, which, like, the cartooning in these strips too is interesting because he's not using a lot of that rapidograph or that pointillism type strips. He's using like the thicker line, brush line that you would see in like a Carl Barks era strip. So it's like, again, he's working different styles, different genres. Just amazing cartoonist. Now we have Bing Bang Buster. Just the names he'd come up with too are just hilarious. Like, I don't know how he hasn't been celebrated. Probably the reason why he's not celebrated like a Carl Barks is because the output, like, he worked on so many different stories and strips. He doesn't have like one long, like Carl Barks obviously is like the Duck comics that came out, Jumpin' Jupiter, came out for like, we almost had 30 volumes of those for Fantagraphics. Basil Wolverton didn't work on anything that long. Here's Wolverton at work. I love this self-portrait. And then last but not least is probably one of my favorite books I have in my entire collection, and it is widely out of print. I hope that Fantagraphics will one day reprint this because it is such a cool collection. And it's this thick collection of Spacehawk by Basil Wolverton and collecting all of his sci-fi strips. And it's done in like this, has like this thick flexi cover. Like, you think like the Marvel Treasury editions they've recently done has these covers. And like, I love these blown up images on these end papers. And I think this was also designed by Jacob Covey, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's by Tony Ong, is the designer on this book, who did a tremendous job. You get the table of contents with Spacehawk strips telling you what you're reading. And the introduction by Monty Wolverton. Trying to get the shadows off here. And just look at this absolutely amazing cartooning. Like, the So he's using some of that cartoony features with some of these characters, but it's done in this like more serious tone, sci-fi Spacehawk strip. So like it's the perfect mashup of Basil Wolverton's artwork. Like when I think of the word like magnum opus, I think of like one artist taking everything they've learned, everything they've used, and applying it to one output, one piece of work. And that's what I get with this. Like you see the cartooning aspect to it, you get the sci-fi aspects to it, the character design, the lettering, like everything that Basil Wolverton did in a magnificent way is all applied to this strip. And these are just magnificently collected in here. The Defender of America. So now Spacehawk is having to defend America in this strip. Just amazing, amazing stuff. The fights too, like it's like that silly like golden age kind of punch to the mouth there. Spacehawk in the case of the Black Avenger. Great silhouette there too. Very ominous. And the blazing death, like look at that image too, like this evil guy with a blowtorch and Spacehawk just standing there. Just incredible, incredible stuff. Can't recommend it enough. If you're into, like I said, this is one of my recommendations whenever people say like, oh, there's that cover again. Golden Age comics aren't good or whatever. Like I'll show them some Basil Wolverton and show them that you're absolutely wrong. Like there are good Golden Age comics. You just need to find them. But yeah, this is Basil Wolverton. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on Basil Wolverton. If you're a fan of him, if this video made you into a fan of him, if you're gonna go try to hunt these down or pick up any of these, I want to hear your thoughts. He's an amazing cartoonist. A lot of the work too that I haven't showed. He did a lot of Mad Magazine work. His famous cover for Mad Magazine, which I'll put on the screen now, was actually an introduction to a lot of the underground cartoonists that we got in the 60s and 70s. They cite this specific cover for Mad Magazine being the influence for them to wanting to get into comics. Like everyone from Robert Crumb to S. Clay Wilson, Spain Rodriguez, all these guys cite like this image, which is kind of funny. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Give the video a thumbs up. Those things help the YouTube algorithm. Put my video in front of people's eyeballs that don't know my channel exists. And again, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Thank you guys so much, and keep talking comics.